Well, hello everybody. Welcome to Police Systems and Practices. This is the online version of the course for the fall of 2020. Where things are a little bit different with COVID-19, so we'll have some things aren't going to be as they normally would. So we'll talk about those things as we get to them. My name's Craig Foss. I'm the chair of the Criminal Justice Department here at Alvin College. Before we get started talking about the course, let me go over a couple of things. First, please carefully watch this video presentation. There will be an introductory quiz that covers this video presentation and the one that's found right below there. If you're watching this in Blackboard, it's the APA plagiarism video. You will need to make a 100% on those. On that particular introductory quiz, as well as a research paper quiz before you continue on the course. Of course, you have as many tries as you need, and there are only 10 questions each, and the questions don't change, so you should be able to do it fairly quickly. Now, in this video, we're going to talk about the course, and we're going to talk about how I have Blackboard set up so you can kind of look at things. But before we do that, I'm going to tell you a little bit of background on myself in case you haven't had any classes from me before. I'm a twice retired career police officer. I spent 34 years as a full-time police officer. First worked as an officer for a short time in Beaumont, Texas. I then went to work for the Galveston Police Department, where I stayed for 21 years. The majority of the time I was in Galveston, I was assigned to the Identification Division, which is the crime scene unit, the forensic units. I was a polygraph examiner. More importantly, I was a fingerprint examiner. I processed thousands of crime scenes during the years, including things from car burglaries on up to murders, bank robberies, sexual assaults, you name it. We worked just about everything you could think of. I also spent time in patrol as a patrolman, spent a year as patrol sergeant on the night shift. I spent a year as an auto theft detective, and in my last year in the department, I was still a sergeant at the time in the Identification Division, still handled all the scheduling, but I was on loan to the IT Division, so I wasn't working crime scenes. I was doing computer programming and helping to launch a new RMS system. When I retired from the Galveston Police Department, I did so because I got a job offer in Dickinson. They were looking for a forensic specialist. The one they had quit to go to work for the League City Police Department. And the job, it was a detective job, days with weekends off, take-home car. I was going to get a pension check from the Galveston Police Department, so it was a good deal. I was going to run the property room, do the forensic work, and as a side, I was going to be assigned all the fraud cases. Unfortunately, fraud's the only area of crime that went up in the early 2000s. Everything else went down, but because of changes in technology, fraud was easier to commit. So it was an area that went up. So instead of being a sideline, the majority of my job became fraud, and the property room and the forensic work became the kind of do it when you can type situation. So it just kind of reversed. But I loved it. It was really great. It was a good department to work for, much like Galveston. I really enjoyed working in Galveston. A lot of variety of experience. In Dickinson, we were a small four-man detective division, or 4 detectives and a captain, and we worked really closely together. We worked if we had a murder, we averaged about 1 a year. The whole division came out and worked it as a team. So it was a good, enjoyable experience. As far as my education, I'll go ahead and talk a little bit about that. I still remember when I went and told my parents that my career choice is I wanted to be a police officer. My father, that wasn't what he saw for me at the time. About a week later, he came to me and said, "Look, I didn't really want you to go into police work, but I understand that's what your passion is. Just do me a favor. I don't want you to continue your education." So I was going to college. I started working as a police officer. I was cut back to part-time. Eventually, I got my associate's degree from College of the Mainland over in Texas City. And then I continued my degree. I knew he wanted me to get a bachelor's degree, so I continued on to the University of Houston in Clear Lake and it was Clear Lake City at the time. They changed the name of the school from Clear Lake to Clear Lake City while I was there and changed it back. So whatever it is, it's back to the way it was when I started. In the meantime, they either added the city or took it away. Doesn't really matter. But it was a criminology program, and I'm sorry, criminology really wasn't the right thing for me, but I was going to continue my degree there until this young lady named Alicia decided to visit my house on August 23rd of 1983, and I was homeless. Hurricane Alicia blew through Galveston and destroyed my home, and I decided to take time off from school while I rebuilt. I was going to take a year off. That year turned into 23 years. It wasn't until about 10 years ago that I just kind of thought about it. I really need to get back to school. I was going through the Law Enforcement Management Institute of Texas, and one of the instructors there was a professor at Midwestern State University, which is an old school up in Wichita Falls, Texas. Turns out it's a really nice campus. And they had an online program. So I signed up for it because I remembered I told my dad I'd finished my degree, and he was getting old. Also, my daughter was in high school, and I wanted to make sure I could tell her, hey, you need to finish college too. And if I didn't, that's kind of how easy it was to tell her. So I went, and I found out I liked college better as a mature adult than I did as a teenager or a younger person. There were just too many other things to do back then. And I completed the program. I called my dad up to say, hey, Dad, I finally did what I told you I would do. I've got my degree. And he told me, I want to go to your graduation. I said, oh, okay, yeah, sure, Dad, we'll go. And I called the college back and said, hey, remember when I filled out that form, said I didn't want to walk? Can I change it? They said yes. So, my daughter did come with us. She was in college at the time, and I went through the graduation, and I'm so glad I did. Like I said, I fulfilled a promise to my father. It took a long time, but I fulfilled it. But I also found out I liked school, so I decided to continue. I applied for and got admitted to the master's program at Sam Houston State. It's a master's in science in criminal justice leadership and management. The course is done on weekends. You go 2 weekends a month. You go 1 weekend a month for 2 years, year round, and you get a master's degree. It's a cohort program, and it was a really good program. And after I finished that, I decided, I'm going to want to retire one day. And I was starting to get a little burned out on police work, and so I went ahead and found a teaching job. I hate to say it, it was a University of Phoenix. I don't want to talk bad about anything, but please don't go to the University of Phoenix. At least the criminal justice program is not a good program. I had more people cheating in the classes than not. Well, maybe not quite, but it was pretty close to 50-50 in some of my classes because they use the same research papers nationwide, and I don't know, they wanted your money is what they wanted. So anyway, I taught for maybe 5-6 courses, and then I was out at Alvin Community College and recruiting for the Dickinson Police Department. They told me that the director of the criminal justice program was retiring. I went and applied for the job. I didn't think I'd get it. I think maybe, I won't get the job, but maybe I can start teaching part-time and eventually work my way into a full-time position. And I got the job. I said, so I had to decide real quick, do you want to retire yet? Went to my wife, try to get some counsel from her, and told her, I got offered the job. What should I do? She said, do what you want. I said, okay. He said, she'll support me either way. So I went ahead and retired and took the job, and I can say that I am glad I did. I really enjoy the teaching part. You're much better students. I don't nearly have as problems with people cheating as I did at the University of Phoenix. The only problem is it's like police work. There's got all that paperwork that nobody likes writing reports. Well, it's the same at the college. I love the teaching part. I don't like the admin that goes with it. But at any rate, it's all part of the program. You got to write reports when you're a police officer. You got to do all the admin stuff when you're teaching at college. So with that said, let me get out of the way and we'll start talking about the program. Now, I'm going to start off with the assumption that you know how to log into Blackboard. If you're getting this through email and watching it from the link in the email and you don't know how to log into Blackboard, If you go to the ACC webpage, there's some tutorials on that. If not, email me back and we'll get you into Blackboard. So once you navigate in Blackboard into the page to this course, you will land on the dashboard page. The only real thing you really need to look at on this page is my announcements. You will be getting announcements about once a week. I will be sending out what I call Do This Week. And in there, I will also have a link to a video that I make once a week, and it's called This Week at called Weekly Updates, where we're talking about what we just did, and I'll talk about what's coming in the week to come. Now, you can work ahead, so you may be way ahead of that weekly update video. You just can't work behind, but we'll talk about that when we get into the course syllabus. So on this page, look at my announcements. Over here, you have the right in this section. You have things that are due. Don't pay attention to that. I'm not using Blackboard due dates because of the practice of allowing you to work ahead. The due dates just didn't work out right. For your due dates, you can look at the course calendar or at the weekly content. Over here for the course navigation, below the dashboard is the course material. The Start Here page is the first thing we're going to look at, and that's where the course syllabus is, the course schedule, the textbook. My office hours will be there. I'll mention them in a minute. I have another tab for the exams. There are going to be 3 major exams and a final exam, so actually 4 major exams. There's a link to the research paper. Then we've got a couple other links: email, discussion board, my grades, the virtual meeting room, which we'll be using to meet with y'all as an orientation date on the first Tuesday of the, didn't want to do it on Monday because I know people can't log into the course till Monday, but on that Tuesday of that first week I'll have virtual meetings with everybody. I'll have several meetings during the day. For all of my criminal justice course, you'll only have to attend one just to make sure everybody's on the same page. And then we've got some help and resources. So let's go ahead and navigate through the Start Here page. The first thing on that page is going to be the course syllabus. We will open that in a minute to look at it. I've got a link to my grades. Just kind of they used to not have it under this communication section, so it was just a way for students to get to it more easily. The course schedule. The course schedule is also found in the syllabus, but the one here in Blackboard is going to be the most up to date. Once I post the syllabus to the college website, I don't change it. Any updates are going to be here in Blackboard. You'll also get a course announcement. Normally we don't have a lot of changes, but in the 6 years I've been here, we probably had to change the schedule 3 different times. I know we had, or 4 different times. We had the college closed because of ICE twice, and we had the college closed because of Harvey, and then of course we had this COVID-19 with the changes on campus for that. So it's possible it will change, but you will be notified. Then there will be my office hours. This isn't the final office hours. I will post them once I figure out which courses I'm teaching. But let me tell you, don't go by these hours. If you need to talk to me about something, I will be available to you. I generally get up at 5 in the morning, 6 in the morning, and I run. And I'll be available to you after I run. I like to run early when it's not as hot. So probably from 7 in the morning up to about 10 o'clock at night. If you need to talk to me about something, about the course or about your degree plan or something of that nature, what I want you to do is send me an email telling me what you need to talk to me about. Give me a phone number where I can reach you, and a best time to call you, and I'll call you and set up a meeting. If it's something we can handle in the phone call, we'll do that. If it's something that would work better in a virtual meeting where I can actually show you documents, like if we're talking about your course curriculum, it works out a whole lot better with pulling up the curriculum on paper to show you. We will set up a virtual meeting. Again, obviously we can do it during the posted office hours, but they don't have to be during those hours. I'm much more open to do it when it works out for you, because my office hours are all during the daytime, and I know a lot of you are going to be working. So again, we can do it at other times. Next, I've got the textbook. You can look at the web page for the college to get the most up-to-date version of it, and you can also buy them online. I recommend a digital version, but I'm kind of a digital person. I got my first computer back in. I lost it in that hurricane that I told you about, 1983, when I had my first computer, which, by the way, was before most people had computers by about, say, 10 years or more. So I'm more into the digital than a lot of people. So let's go ahead and open up the syllabus. As we do that, I'm going to let you know that the syllabus is a college-wide template. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the things that are particular to this course, and I expect you to read the syllabus to kind of look at the areas that are the same college-wide. So you don't have to read all of your course syllabuses, but make sure at least one of them during the semester you read the whole thing. They updated. This syllabus was just put out about, I'm filming this in July. It was put out in the middle of July, and that's when I completed it. Hopefully they won't update it. They for the last 5 semesters, they seem to update it 2 days after I finish putting all my syllabus together, so I have to do it again. But they told us this time this was the last one. We'll see. So first thing, this course is titled, actual title is System and Practices. It's really Police Systems and Practice. We have to use the title that is put out by the accreditation board, so that's why it just says Systems and Practices. This course is not a self-paced course. You can work ahead. I will tell you right now, you can finish this course in 5 weeks because that's what the summer program is, and people finish the courses in 5 weeks in the summer program without a lot of difficulty. What you can't do is work behind. We'll talk about it when we get down to how attendance is taken. If you miss deadlines, eventually you'll fail the class if you miss too many. We'll talk about that in a little bit. For this course, all major exams and the introductory quiz must be taken in a proctored setting, and we're going to use the HonorLock proctoring software, which works on any computer that can work the full version of the Chrome browser. You will need to use the Chrome browser. It's a very small extension. There is a video that you'll be able to watch. I think it's about a 12-minute video. I'll show you where it's at. I've got it at 2 different locations in the course to tell you all about it. You will need a working webcam, microphone, and your student ID. If you can't get to campus to get a student ID, you can use your driver's license, and you do need a working and stable internet connection. Now, if you don't have a computer that fits the bill, the college had some. Let me know early so I can get you with the proper people to see if they have them available to you. And I know if you don't have a good internet connection, at least at one point, they were talking about putting the Wi-Fi out in the parking lot at the college so you could drive up there and use the Wi-Fi connection in the parking lot to take your test. The exams are, you get 15 minutes to complete them. You can sit in your car for 15 minutes without any major problems. Now, the proctoring software does not work on mobile devices such as cell phones and tablets. Because they don't load the full version of the Chrome browser system, so you can't use it on those. In communicating with me, definitely go by email. If you call my office, I'm not going to be out there. I'm not allowed on campus. The only time I'll be on campus is when I'm teaching police academy classes that will be held on campus in social distancing rooms. So send me an email direct. If you call and leave a message, I get an email and I'll have to listen to your voice message. It's just easier if you send it to me direct, and then I'll get back to you usually the same day or the next day. There will be some times where if it's on a weekend, it may take a couple days for me to get back to you, but by that Monday I'll be back. So if you email me on a Friday afternoon and I'm out of town camping and I don't have an internet connection where I'm at, then it'll be Monday before I get back to you, or probably Sunday night when I get back in town. But normally I'm going to get back with you a lot quicker than that. I do check my email quite often throughout the day. Now, the course description, it's a 3-hour course that examines the establishment, role, and function of police in a democratic society. It will focus on the type of police agencies and their organizational structure, police community interaction, police ethics, and the use of authority. The student learning outcomes to describe types of police agencies and explain their role in the police in America within the context of a democratic society. Describe means and methods utilized to ensure police accountability. Explain the historical development of policing. Describe the selection process for police officers. And to compare and contrast organizational structures, policies, strategies, tactics employed to ensure police effectiveness, efficiency, and equity. We already talked about the book. We already talked about the course outline, so we'll kind of move on past those. I already mentioned that there are 3 major exams and a final. They're all going to be given in Blackboard. There are multiple choice. There may be a few matching questions in there. There may be a few true-false questions. You will have a minute per question. So during the major exams, the first 3 exams have 50 questions. You have 50 minutes. The final exam will have 50 questions covering the new material, and then they have 30 questions covering the material covered in the first 3 exams. You'll have 80 minutes to complete that. You will be allowed to use your personal notes or textbook during the exam, but you will not be allowed to use any document prepared by anybody other than yourself or the textbook. You cannot use any web searches, study sheets from any other sources, practice tests. Nothing like, I can't think of the site name now, Quizlets or anything like that sources. You can use those to study, but you can't look at those notes during the exam. HonorLock is going to do a couple things. It's going to show me what's on your screen. It's going to show me the video of yourself while you're taking the exam. So you can kind of tell what you're up to. If you're caught cheating, if you're caught using one of these sheets that's not yours, that's cheating, and you will fail the class. So make sure during the exam you don't go to any unauthorized screens. Just before the exam, close everything but the browser where the exam is, your personal notes, and your textbook. You can use those 3. Now, as far as your notes, the way the discussions work for each chapter, there's going to be part of the discussion is going to be an exam review. And you're going to post that, and you're going to look at other people's exam reviews to see if their answer is different. If it is, you can take their answer and add it to your notes. That's okay. That's what I'm trying to get you to do, is to see how people look at things different. Now, when I say add them to your notes, don't replace your notes unless yours was actually wrong. Leave yours there and add theirs, because they might not have been right in what was going to be on the exam. You look at the term, kind of guessing what's going to be on the exam. Yours might have been right. So keep them all together. I would also suggest most of the exams are going to cover 4 chapters. And instead of having 4 different note pages there, combine them all into one, save it as exam 1 exam review, and just use that document. It'll be much easier for you in searching for things on the exam. And also, when you're taking the exam, just kind of a hint, finish the exam before you go back and start looking answers up. Almost every semester I have someone that doesn't finish the exam. This summer, with the HonorLock, we were just using it for the first time. There were some hiccups with the navigation bar. We've got a workaround. They're trying to fix it, but right now we're using a workaround on it. And several of the students got locked out when they tried to use the navigation bar. I was looking at one of them. He was like 35 minutes into it, so he only had 15 minutes left. And he was on question like 22, 23. So he wasn't going to finish. When I reset the exam for him, because it booted him out, I told him, hey, think about how you're taking this exam. You're not going to finish in time. And he did. But generally speaking, somewhere during the course, I'll have someone that spent 3 or 4 minutes on a couple different questions and not finish the exam. So make sure you do that. In addition to the exams, there will be a quiz on each and every chapter. I already mentioned that you have to make, I think I mentioned, I may not have, that the introductory quiz and the quiz over the research paper, you'll have to make a 100 on to move on through the course. For the weekly quizzes, you'll need to make at least 70 on them. Now, you can take them as many times as you want. And if you make a 90 on it, take it again, make 100. If you make a 70 on it the second time, you still have your 90 because I've got it set up that it gives you your highest score. But you can go back and retake them as many times as you want till you get that 100. Now, as far as getting things in on time, you've got a research paper and presentation. There will be another video on that for you to watch, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it other than to say we won't be coming to campus to do a presentation unless things change considerably. So, I mean, I've still got it in the syllabus that you come to campus, but the fact of the matter is we're going to be doing them by video because of the campus shutdown. And exactly how that's going to work, I think we're going to be putting them into a discussion so you can watch each other's videos and ask questions and so forth. But I'll give you more information on that once we figure out. We're trying to get some software. They're looking at how much it's going to cost that would allow you to post your discussion through the sharing software that we use directly in the discussion. If not, we're going to work something out if I have to post them all for you. Next, we're going to look at the grading system. The major exams and the quizzes. The quiz total are worth 15% of your grade each. So again, that's 45 for the major test and another 15% for the quizzes. Your final is going to be worth 20%. The research paper presentation combined is worth 10% of your grade, and those discussions I just mentioned earlier are worth 10% of your grade. We'll talk about them in a minute when we get into the course and show you things. Now, the last thing we're going to talk about on the syllabus is the way that the attendance is taken. For the online class, other than the orientation, there's not any times when you're going to have to be somewhere at a particular time, especially since the campus is shut down and we're not going to be able to do the face-to-face presentations. So the way we take attendance is if you meet the deadlines on assignments. Now, typically, there are going to be things due through, well, all the assignments are going to be due on Thursday nights for the semester for the entire week. I'm not giving 2 different day deadlines because I kind of refine that. So on Thursday at midnight, you may have a discussion, you may have a quiz, you may have a couple quizzes, you may have a couple discussions, you may have a research paper due, you may have an exam, a presentation. Whatever's due that week, when I get up Friday morning, I'm going to run reports for all my classes to see what was done, and whatever you've got done, if it is everything that was assigned that week, you're good. You're marked present. If you don't get everything done, but you get something done, then you're going to be marked late. Now, if you're marked late twice, that's going to add up. Each late counts as a half an absence. So if you are absent or late twice on assignments, that counts as an absence. If you don't do anything for the week, if you get nothing done, then you're marked as absent, and that counts as a full absence. After the equivalent of 3 absences, which could be, let's say you're late twice because you missed some material 2 different times, so that equals 1 absence, and then you don't do anything 2 different weeks, that would add up to 3 absences. The next week, you don't take a quiz. Well, that makes you late. So now you're at 3.5 absences, which is more than 3. You just lost a letter grade off your final average. It's the grade posted on your transcript. So if you had an A average, you get a B. If you have a B average, you get a C. You have a C average, you get a D, and hey, we don't want to talk about what happens after that. Now, let's say the next week you don't do anything. You don't turn anything in. So now you've got 4.5 absences, and if you have an A, well, you get it. You get a C. If you have a B, you get a D, and anything below that is your average. You've failed the class. Understand that you need to make the deadlines. They're very, very important. That is, for our accreditation, we have to have a way of taking roll, and this is the way it's set up in my course. So the rest of this syllabus is going to be the standard language. Please read at least one of your course's syllabuses all the way through. If you have any questions about them, shoot me an email and we'll discuss whatever questions you have. Now the next section we're going to look at is the exam tab. The exams are not going to be visible to you. I'm in a student mode. So the thing that will be visible is going to be a list of the exams and what you have to have done before they'll be visible. So for exam 1, you need chapters 1 through 4 discussions. You just have to participate in them. And then you need to make 70 on chapter 1 through 4 quizzes. You must complete this to be on time to meet your deadline by September 17th. Now you can complete it way before then. You can complete the final exam by September 17th if you want. Of course, you have to go through each exam in order before you can do that. Right below that, I have some information on the HonorLock system, the instructions, including telling you not to open any other browsers and so forth. There is the video on that, so you will be able to look at that video. Again, it's I think 12 minutes. 12 minutes and 2 seconds.
Hello, everyone.
It will tell you all about the HonorLock system. It hasn't changed if you took some summer classes. Might have tweaked a couple things, but you know, and this is a new video. I did one this summer and I updated it a little bit, but I think you're good to go if you didn't have any problems with HonorLock before. Now, if you had completed the chapters 1 through 4, right above this HonorLock video, chapter 1 exam would show up, so you would be able to take it from there. The next section we're going to look at is the research paper. Normally, there are 2 options in this course. One is a traditional research paper. The other is going to be a patrol observation paper. I don't think you're going to find anybody that's going to allow you to do a ride-along with them right now. If you're an officer somewhere and you can do a ride-along with another agency, not the one you worked for, not any agency you ever worked for. So, you know, if you didn't, you know, I've had several officers ride with other agencies. Maybe an agency will allow you to do a ride-along, so you would have that choice. Otherwise, you have to do the research paper. Watch this video. Below the video, there's the instructions on the research paper and the topics, and there's the instructions on the patrol observation paper. Doesn't matter which option, you're going to have to take this research paper submission quiz. You'll have to make a 100 on it before you can move on to chapter 1. So you can take it as many times as you want, but be sure to take it and make at least a 100. Next, we got the research paper topic selection. Again, the other video will talk about it, where you can select your topics right here. I've still got to delete the previous semester's students out of there, but I will do that before the course starts. So, again, there's that video to watch. That will be part of your first week's assignment after you complete this one and the APA video. So now we're going to go ahead and, whoops, I clicked on the wrong button. We're going to try to click on the weekly content page. This is where the meat and potatoes are. And you can scroll down this page, and we've got a folder for each of the 16 weeks during the semester. And, you know, on the folder's launch page, it tells you exactly what's due that week. So you can kind of scroll down and see what you need to do on any particular week. We'll go ahead and start with week 1. Everything will be visible to you on week 1 because there's no prerequisites to get to that. Again, we talk about watching this video, which will be right here, replacing this last year's version. The APA plagiarism video, if you watched it before, because it's the same one I've used for quite a while, plagiarism hadn't changed, APA hasn't changed. So you may not have to watch it, but you will have to take a quiz on it. I've got the HonorLock video again because you're going to have to use HonorLock to do the introductory quiz. Obviously, if you watched it, you don't have to watch it more than once, but for many of you, this will be your first introduction to HonorLock. Watch the video. It's not a hard program to use. Then we've got the introduce yourself video, introduce yourself discussion. You'll have to do that discussion and do 3 follow-up posts. The follow-up post will be due next week on all of your discussions except the final discussion, because there's no next week and you don't have to do follow-up post on that. But all the other discussions, a week after the discussion's due, you will need to do 3 follow-up posts on that discussion. The next one is an exercise, a paraphrase exercise. There's a newspaper article for you to read. You close it out, and then you're going to discuss it. For all of these discussion boards, I have it set up that you have to post before you can read anybody else's discussion. We'll talk about that in a second. We'll get to the chapter discussion. Next, there's a link to the research paper tab telling you you got to take the quiz before you go on to chapter 1. And the last thing that will be found on each and every one of your pages, weekly content pages, is the Ask Your Instructor discussion board. And this is where you can go to ask me questions about the textbook, about the lectures, about the test, about anything that is pertinent to not just you, but everybody else in the course. Please include the chapter you're talking about and what you're talking about so that I can answer your question. I will answer the question in the discussion board, and to the author I'll send an email. What I would like each and every one of you to do now is you click on the instructor. Now this is one you don't have to post to see anything, and you don't have to do follow-up posts. This is just for information. If you click on the subscribe button there, what that does is anytime someone posts to that, you get an email telling you there's a new post in the discussion. Oops, I can tell you I normally don't have more than 4 or 5 discussions show up or questions show up during the semester. You're not going to get inundated by it. Now, one thing I do want to make sure, you do not ask any personal questions about your grades, anything about your course, your courses that you need to take. Anything like that needs to be sent to me from your college email address to my college email address. And again, don't send it from your personal email address. It's a FERPA issue, privacy issue. If you do send it from your personal email, and I notice that it came from your personal email, I'll simply send you a question, an email back telling you to go ahead and ask the question again from your college account. Good chance if it's something I need to look up, I'll have it looked up by the time you get it, and I'll be able to answer right away. But make sure that let's keep in with the privacy and follow the college policy. Okay, so that was chapter 1. Now I'm going to show you about chapter 2, or week 2, not chapter 2. In week 2, you should go to chapter 1. You'll notice there is no video and no quiz here. They won't be visible till you made the 100 on the introductory quiz and on the research paper quiz, and you participated in the paraphrase and the discussion for the introduce yourself. Once you do that, they'll show up. Same with in the second week, we have chapters 1 and 2, so same thing for chapter 2. You will see links here to the introduce yourself and paraphrase. That is for your follow-up posts. On those, make some substantive follow-up posts, greet your fellow student, talk about the differences in the paraphrase. But more importantly, when you get to the chapter discussions, I'm very explicit on what you need to do for your follow-up. Let me go ahead and open up the discussion. You will have a bunch of terms. Download it to your computer, fill it out. So what is the CSI effect? You would write your answer there. What's police and social control? You write your answer there. What you're going to do is you're going to cut and paste these directly into your document. I'll show you how to do that in a second. When you come to your follow-up post, you're going to look for their answer on what discretion is. And if their answer is the same as yours, that's not one for you to talk about. You're going to look for somebody's answers that are different, and you're going to find a lot of answers that are different than yours. For your follow-up post, you'll have to find at least 3 answers that's different than yours and compare the differences. Don't just say, hey, I saw your answer on this. This is what I got. Say, hey, I saw your answers. You said it was a thingamajig. I found in the book on page 31 that it's a whatchamacallit. I'm not sure whether it's a thingamajig or a whatchamacallit, but I thought that would point out the differences in our answers. That's what I'm looking for. I want you to see that other people got something different, and hey, copy theirs and put it in your final one so that you can use it for your exam. So what you're going to do when you're ready to post this into it, after you've filled it all out, simply highlight everything, select everything. On Windows computers, it's Control A. I think it's Command A on Apple. I may be wrong. And then you will copy it into your clipboard, Control C, Command C, whatever. And then you'll come over into your discussion. You will create a new thread. You will put your name in the thread so we know whose it is. My name, in chapter 1 or whatever. Then you will click in the text box. Now, if you right-click and hit paste, it's going to come up, and this is why I think that the Apple computers are Command C and Command V and so forth, because it says that. I don't know where that came from, so that's why I'm guessing. But it's not going to allow you to use the right-click to paste. What you'll have to do is use your keyboard, and you hit Control V, and it's going to paste your answer directly into the discussion. That way no one has to download anything. No one's going to have any concerns about someone putting a virus in there. I'd not have to worry about someone using Apple software that I can't read. So this is the only acceptable way to do it. So everybody needs to do that this semester. I'm going to start deleting attachments out so everybody gets it done the same way. Then you would just hit submit. I'm going to hit cancel because I don't want to add a blank page to the discussion. That's all I've got for you. I'm looking forward to working with each and every one of you this semester. I really look forward to it. I'd like to be able to meet with y'all on campus. That's probably not going to occur, but at least we'll get to see y'all's smiling faces in the orientation and in the videos of your presentation. Good luck this semester, and I'll talk to you later.